Hi, how you doing? I've actually had some requests to talk about how I do compost. Composting is a very opinionated topic among gardeners, so I thought I'd just tell you how I do compost. There are a million different ways you can. Hi, Phoebe. How you doing? There are a million different ways you can do compost, and about a million videos on YouTube that tell you got to have this bin or this kind of thing. You have to do this balance of greens and browns. A lot of the advice is good advice, but there's just so many ways. Basically, compost is organic material that is broken down into humus. And so organic material like grass clippings, leaves. I'll give you a list of all the different kinds of things that I compost or things you can compost. But it's organic material broken down into humus, and that provides rich fertilizer, all the various biology and microorganisms that make your soil in your gardens really good stuff. Show me what's in here. What's in here? What kind of stuff do we have in here?
There is...
We have grass.
Grass, dried leaves.
That's all we have in here. What I put in these hoops is grass and dried leaves. Grass clippings, and the ones I get off the top I use for mulch. I put dried leaves in there. And this is basically just all I do. I don't even bother. I just dump all my grass clippings in here. And grass, Ray of Praxis, I forgot his number, but there's a guy on YouTube named Ray, and he shows you how you can take grass, which is both brown and green, just throw it in a bin and pile it up, and it will cook off and compost down. It'll take a little bit longer sometimes, but that's basically all I do. I put my grass in here in these kinds of hoops, and I'm about to take this one and put it in a new hoop, and I just let it cook down. I let nature take its course, and sometimes in the middle of my pile I get a nice hot steaming composting hot pile, and sometimes I have to wait a while. To make good compost you need a good balance of nitrogen and carbon, so they say. Anything you pile up is going to eventually rot, and what's going to be left over is good humus and good fertilizer for your garden. The way I do it is I don't really worry much. Phoebe really wants to chase her frisbee. She keeps bringing it to me. I'm trying to record a video, Phoebe. Phoebe, there she is. You ready? You ready?
I'm surprised that didn't fall. It hit the
So,
thing.
that's what I have to contend with when I'm trying to work here. All right, Phoebe, go get it. Oh no, she went right through the garden. This is only one of my methods of composting. This is the easy way, and this is going to be compost for next spring. And I also compost another way, and let's go take a look at that. So here's the other way I compost. This is my more active compost bin. Open that up, Sam. Let's see what's in there.
Alright.
I have my stinky stuff goes in here. So food scraps from the kitchen. We get eggshells, food scraps, shavings from all our vegetables, all the stuff that stinks goes in here.
Yeah, and there's a cockroach right there.
That's true, and you know what? There's a lot of flies in here too.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process. Is I don't mind cockroaches being in here because they're where they're supposed to be. They're not in my house. They're in here. They're eating. They're turning organic material into good humus. And I get about 50 to 60 gallons of good compost out of this once a year. I'll also put some of this stuff into my active or to my passive compost pile, my grass clippings pile, and sometimes it'll help kick off a good compost burn. Lots of mosquitoes in there too, huh? Let's go ahead and close this one up, and I'll show you the kinds of things we put in our compost. Here's our kitchen waste. Now I want you to look at this. It's filled with flies, and what you see in there are coffee filters. Coffee filters are very high in nitrogen, or coffee grounds, I should say. Coffee grounds are very high in nitrogen. I put the filters in too. The paper decomposes. Eggshells, very important for calcium and trace minerals in your compost. Now I'm not going to dig down through here because this is nasty and it's got tons of fruit flies in it. We keep this bucket on my porch, and we add to it all our kitchen scrap. There are potato peels, apples, cores, leftovers from the kitchen, any kind of veggie material that you can find in the kitchen goes in this bucket, and then I dump it into our stinky compost bin. And this stuff produces black gold. I mean, this is some rich stuff right here. If you can save everything from your kitchen all your cardboard. If you get a box from Amazon, take the white sticky glossy paper stickers off of it and take the clear tape off of it, and you can compost that box. Just chop it up or cut it up or shred it up if you got a shredder. That's some good stuff. You can compost things like human hair. You can compost just about anything that is organic. People will say, well, you can't compost fatty meats or meats from the kitchen. You can't compost animals and things like that. Well, actually, you can. You can compost them and they add good value to your compost. But what I have composted in the past is squirrels. When squirrels came raiding my garden, I had to take them out, unfortunately. They compost in about a week and a half in a really hot, active compost pile. And I saw squirrels just simply disappear, bones and all. Composted kittens. Unfortunately, we had a litter of kittens that were born in my backyard. A couple of them died. I think maybe my wiener dogs back in those days got hold of them. And so we composted that kitten. Feathers, bird, anything that's organic can compost, and it doesn't really stink. If you've got an active pile and you get that animal matter in the middle of that active, the hot portion of the compost pile where the bacteria are really actively breaking down organic material, and they're doing so in a way that is quick and fast, and they're really happy down there, you can compost animals. All right, well, I'm gonna show you some completed compost. Let's have a look at that. Now, here we have some almost finished compost. You can see there's some chunks in here, but if you dig down in here, you can see that there's some good loam, some good organic material, and this is about half done compost. Pick out all the cellophane and trash. This was from last year's compost pile, and what I like to do is take this stuff, and if I really need good compost without all the wood chips and the uncomposted leaves, I'll send it through a sifter and strain this stuff out, and I get black gold that way. That in this compost, there's no stink. It's just good loam, good soil, or good loamy organic matter, and it's ready to go in. So I've got a lot of fungal action going on in here. That's good for your soil as well. And this is just good stuff. This is last year's compost. You can see there's eggshells in there. So what I'll do is I'll take my grass clippings compost and I will add to it the compost from the bins, and I'll mix them together so that I get a good balance of kitchen waste versus as compared to a good balance of kitchen waste and my grass clippings compost, so that I can get the benefit of having both kinds. Alright, so let's review. Basically, I do two kinds of composting. I do a bin, like that one back there, where I just dump grass clippings and dry leaves, and just so you know, I only get dry leaves in the spring. Otherwise, I'm just dumping grass clippings in there, and that's all I have. If you just dump grass clippings in your bin and leave them, just leave it, it will compost down at least by half in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. And then you can pull that bin up and rotate, turn your compost over, use a fork and stir it up and put it back in your bin. Leave it for another 4 or 5 weeks, and it will reduce another by half. I just keep adding stuff to my compost, and that's how I do it. The other way is our active bin, our stinky bin. That's where we put our kitchen waste, and everything that comes out of the kitchen, all of our stinky stuff, any potato peels, carrot peels, vegetable kitchen waste, it all goes in there. And I'll keep putting stuff in there. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
I'll keep putting stuff in there until it's about a foot or two deep, and then I'll take the fork and I'll stir it up. Now again, I compost in 1 year cycles. I'm not interested in super fast compost. I don't have any fancy little barrels that you turn and make compost in 14 days. Because you see these barrels and they're about, they're 18 inches, 24 inches long, and you put your kitchen waste in there and you rotate them. And what you get out of them is about, a quart of compost. Well, I've got 3 garden beds over there. A quart's not really going to do me good. I need gallons and gallons of compost. So anyway, the stinky bin gets the stinky stuff, and it's got a lid on it so we don't have to smell it. And it composts pretty good, but the other bin over there is the passive. We don't care if it's hot or not. It eventually rots down into a big pile of compost. That's how we do it here. That's how I do compost. I'm not interested in super fast, super heated piles. It's just not the way it works here. We're in it for the long term and for volume, and I can make grass clippings into garden gold in a year, and that's what I do. What's left?
A bit of coffee.
Coffee. Tap that on there and see if you can get it all in. All right, that's good enough.